Hi guys, welcome to Health, Wealth and Happiness with James and Joe.
I'm James.
I'm Joe, and let me introduce our next guest. Okay, so I'm really excited about this one. So from knocking 100 doors a day to helping build, at the time, the largest independent financial consultancy in the world, to founding multiple eight-figure companies, sales coach, business mastermind, social media guru, award-winning podcaster, best-selling author, and just all-round great guy, absolute bundle of energy. My mentor, my mate, Spencer Lodge. How are you?
I like that. Can you say that again? Do that again.
What a list. What a list.
I want more. It's 9 figures. Don't say 8 figures. I'll have you for that anyway. I always say 11 figures if you put the decimal point.
Ah, right, okay. Should we cut that and start that bit again?
Yeah. Brilliant.
So yeah, how's things anyway?
Very well. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show. I'm very, very privileged to be
Thank
here.
you for coming. Thank you very much. To be fair, you're the main reason this was all come about. So I think I know if it weren't for you getting me on the content creation route, I'd have never met James for a start. I'd have never been creating videos and we wouldn't be sat here talking. So yeah, it's all down to you, this mate.
Great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so for the 2 or 3 people in the audience that don't know you, seeing as you are on everyone's social media feed and have been for the past few years, who is Spencer Lodge?
I'm just a working class kid that was shit at school and found out that he could sell, was trained well in sales, and then used sales as my foundation for everything else. But I think that sometimes things impact certain people in certain ways. And a very pretty young lady in a bar one night in London rolled her eyes when I told her as a salesman, as I was chatting her up back in 1988, when she'd rather talk to an investment banker or a lawyer. And it got my back up, put a chip on my shoulder, and it wanted me to try and prove and defend the right of salespeople around the world and the role they play in any business, whether that be a solopreneur's business or a multinational conglomerate. And so I've spent my life trying to train people as best I can and trying to influence people and also trying to get people to understand that aren't in sales what being a salesperson, regardless of what you sell, is all about, and the challenges that people face. You know, the psychological highs and lows that a salesperson goes through on a weekly basis just can't be comprehended by most people that will go to work every day that get their nice salary. And I don't like the fact that if you can't comprehend it, you have to disrespect it. As far as I'm concerned, if you can't comprehend it, no problem, but at least show some respect for the fact that these people go to zero at the beginning of every month. They've still got roofs to put over people's heads, school fees to pay, kids, families to pay for and stuff. And I just think that they should be given a bit more respect. And on the flip side, I see a lot of people get into sales because a lot of companies don't really understand what a great salesperson is. They care about employing people that can get results, yet they don't know how to do it. And then they don't train their staff to do it properly. You know, you'd never sit in a dentist chair, you know, with a guy, as he sat down, he pulled a drill out and he's like, I've never used this before, but let's give it a go. You know, it's just, he wouldn't let it. You know, and you probably wouldn't work out with a fat personal trainer. And you probably, if you sat down with a doctor and you told him you had something wrong with your toe and he started taking, you know, got his stethoscope out and started listening to your heart, or said to you, yeah, toes is not my thing, to be honest with you. You just wouldn't deal with these kind of people. And so it's assumed that everyone has to be a professional. You wouldn't have your house built by an architect that wasn't an architect and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, it's understanding that if you want to be really good in sales, then you need to learn the skills that are required. And it's not a gift of the gab, loudmouth personality game. It's all about being very smart at understanding how you solve people's problems. And if you can find people that have got problems and you can create solutions for them and you know how to do that professionally, then you'll get a great result from it.
Fantastic. What an intro. What an intro. We know you've done so many interviews with big names like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins. I know a lot of people look up to these names. You know, what are your revelations from interviewing these people? What do these people possess? People listening in right now can sort of model and use to become successful themselves.
They're very goal focused. They're service focused, i.e. they're focused on serving. and they don't think about money. Of course, money is important, but they're not driven by money. They're driven by a real sense of purpose. And when I want to teach the world to sell. And I want to teach the world to sell because it needs to learn how to sell. I'm not driven by the financial aspects of it. And even when I was in Joe's industry as a financial advisor, I wanted people to stop making stupid decisions with their money. I wanted to stop seeing people at 65 not have any money when they were broke. I wanted to see people that were married and have kids make sure that they had life insurance to protect their family. I wanted people to get their money working for them rather than sitting, leaving it rotting, burning a hole in their pocket or rotting in the bank. It's a sense of purpose. And all of these people have a massive sense of purpose. You know, Grant Cardone has a massive sense of purpose. Tony Robbins, his aim is to serve. Gary Vee, you know, look how much content he puts out. He wants to teach people shit because he knows what to do. And he's really passionate about that. And so you find people that have that sense of purpose they don't then have limiting self-beliefs. They don't have boundaries. They don't have ceilings. It's just because they're so focused on their purpose of serving. And a lot of people that are out in industry just want to make money. I have no problem with people that want to make money, but why do you want to make money? What, to buy a house, buy a car, buy a watch, and then what? You know, when you get to 50 years old, you look a bit stupid in Prada, okay, and Versace and stuff. So it's not really going to have a big impact on you when you get older. What is it you're doing all this for? Once you've got financial security, and good examples are like Gary, Grant, and Tony. They don't need to go to work. They've got enough money for their lives, their kids' lives, their grandkids' lives, and their grandkids' lives. You know, and so they do it because of that absolute desire to want to achieve something based upon something bigger than themselves.
Yeah. Who's the favorite guest that you've had on the show?
I'd have to say, for me, until last night, Tony Robbins by far. Tony was hard to get, really hard to get. Manager was like, no. Publicist, no. Publicist, flowers, no. Don't tell me flowers. You think you're gonna get around me that way? Publicist, cupcakes. He was like, I like cupcakes. and then an introduction to the stewardess that is his personal cabin crew on his jet. We got introduced to her and we asked her to share a video with Tony. So persistence to get him was because he was tough to get. And then before he came to the studio, we were the only people to interview him in Dubai. 10 security guards came and literally went from top to bottom of the building. Like, and I mean, everything.
Really?
Everything. Like, properly went through the lot. And then Tony came and we told him, you'll have 30 minutes for your interview. And he came and sat down and he spent, I think, nearly 3 hours with us. Not only there, but we're there. And usually the studio would have 5 or 6 people in. We had about 30 people in, obviously, because Tony was coming. Yeah. He spent time with everybody, like everybody. He sat on the side of the studio stage. He sat on the side there, sat and did selfies, sat and chatted to people, did little videos on social media with the various people, chatted away, helped, guided. He was the kindest, coolest man I've ever, I couldn't imagine it as good as that. And considering he's literally speaking to tens of thousands of people every single time he does an event, he's like a rock star, isn't he? He's like a pop star in that respect. But he was just mega. And he even wrote something on social media afterwards. And he said when he came back to Dubai, look, when I come back to Dubai, let's come for dinner with me. And he invited us for dinner with him. And, that might just have been noise. But I bet you bottom dollar if I reached out to him. Because I remember going to the event the next day after we were with him. And I was with the organisers, kind of like at the front to the side, by the side of the stage in this arena. While he was mid-flow, he made purpose to come over to me, give me a hug, went back up. And that kind of stuff is just like, makes you feel something special, doesn't it? And so, he was great. Last night's guest, and again, I have a podcast because I want to hear people's stories. I don't have a business podcast. I don't have a sales related podcast. I have a podcast because I'm really fascinated by people. So to get, as I said to you earlier, that guy on the show last night that was on death row for 22 years, nothing comes close to his story. Like nothing. And I tell you what, if you ever want to complain again, go watch that. You'll shut up. Okay. And that was a little bit like when I had Nick Vojicic on as well, with no arms, no legs, no worries. He was on the podcast for 9 minutes. And in 9 minutes, he said more than most people say in an hour. And he just looked at me. And every time he looked at me, and he wasn't saying this, but this is what I felt he was saying. And your problem is You know, when a guy's sitting there with no arms and no legs, and yeah, and I can't even brush my hair. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So yeah, so just genuinely, people have been very kind. Sarah Al-Madden is a really good mate of mine now because of this. We didn't really know each other before, and so I make great friendships, people that have opened doors. And there's funny little stories, you know. You interview some people. There's one guy called Hisham Gerg, and I met him at his office, Arab guy. I was like, oh God, you know, he's a bit formal. He's a bit kind of like, bit stiff and robotic at first, and I'm like, I'm not going very far here. And he loosened up a bit, and then he tells this story about his parents were rich in Dubai. He didn't want to do what they wanted to do, went across to the States on his own, and he had to make some money. And bear in mind, he's an Arab, and he got a job, commission-only job, selling rape alarms, where they used to strap to the lady's hand, and if someone, you know, they'd pull apart and there'd be a loud beeping noise, yeah? And he said, I used to walk around Walmart car parks where people used to come out with their trolleys and go up to these single women and say, what about a rape alarm? He's like some Arab dude in the middle of Oklahoma going, what about a rape alarm? And he was hilarious when he told the story. And so you get little gems out of it like that. So I find out of all the things that I do, all of the work that I do, I find podcasting is the one that feeds my soul the most.
Go on, sorry, Joe.
Like I said, we've only very recently started with this, and we did 3 shows. We recorded 3 shows with some amazing guests yesterday, and I said to James at the end of it, a bit like therapy, isn't it? It's just I was like, and we're done, and it got so much enjoyment out of it. Just speaking to people and same sort of things. Again, letting them share the story, and you learn so much about people as well.
I think you bang on there, right? What's the whole purpose of this? Like Spence said here, like money, you can get that. That's not a problem. It's what's the more important things. It's the memories. It's the time, the one commodity that we have. And that hit home with me. It was a revelation yesterday, actually, like learning more about other people and learning a lot more about, you know, why we should be really grateful for the situation we're in as well. But I'd be interested to know, Spence, if you don't mind, you know, you have this really condensed period of time with Tony. You're in the room in this environment. What did you take away from that? And did you implement anything you learned from him to your own businesses?
So, I mean, I've been going to Tony Robbins events for a long time. It was his teachings that changed a big part about my success in my career back in the 90s. So I know a lot about Tony. And so I tell you what I learned is sometimes when you meet people and you're nervous, you can shake a little bit. Your body can tremble inside if you're a bit nervous. Tony's body, when I had a photograph with him as he came up onto the studio set, I put my arm around him to have a photo, and he was trembling. And I was like, do you know what it made me feel? Oh, right, he's human. Because he wasn't human to me until that point. He was just like godlike. And he was just human. And it was just like, wow, Tony's human.
Such a presence as well, hasn't he? That's what blew me away with him when I went to the same event.
His hands go up to here. When you shake his hand, because he had a tumour when he was young. He got this giant syndrome when he was a kid. Okay, that's why he's as big as he is. Oh, really? So he had a growth spurt. He grew, I think, 60 centimetres. Yeah, because he was a short kid. He grew 60 centimetres in 13, 14 months. I don't know the exact, but like a massive growth spurt because of this tumour. And so he suffers because of it as well. And he's like very aware of how he has to look after his body, etc.
Okay. So how do you get these sort of guests on the show?
Asking for a friend.
Grant Cardone came. Again, you have to pay attention. Grant said, I'm coming to Dubai. If anybody wants to podcast me, reach out. So I reached out, and obviously loads of people reached out. And so I just being persistent. You have to create an image for what you're offering them as well. You have to think about what you're offering them rather than what you're getting yourself. Yeah. So I kept saying, Grant, Dubai needs to hear your voice. You know, I come from the same place as you. I come from the same background as you. Okay. And I've got a platform where Dubai can let you, promote your voice, promote your message. And again, that was 4 hours of waiting around, hassle trying to get him. And once we got him, now he's my mate. You know, we were messaging last night, and I've got many stories about him. But
yeah, so the live you did the other day with Elena as well.
Elena. Grant's coming on. I think I've got Grant next week. But yeah, I got him out of a little bit of a sticky fix. Do you know the story about what happened to Grant? Yeah, you do. Don't you?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'd love to hear it though.
Grant arrived in Dubai, and I was the first person. The second time he came, I was supposed to be interviewing him when he arrived, and so he arrived, and I was meeting him at his hotel, and Elena and the kids arrived, but Grant didn't. And I'm like, "Where's Grant?" She goes, "Oh, it's just with the plane held up with something." Anyway, Grant was there. 1 hour went by, 2 hours went by. I'm like, are you all right? Do you need any help or anything? He's like, no, we're just dealing with something. Anyway, about 3 hours in, maybe whatever period of time in, I said, you're there for a reason. Do you need some help? Do you need a phone call? And he's like, what kind of phone call? I said, well, do you want to tell me what's going on? And maybe I can point you in the right direction, or at least I can get someone in touch with you. And so he sends me a picture. And the picture is a picture of a magazine with bullets in from his gun that was in the bottom of a suitcase that he'd forgotten about. No gun, just the magazine with bullets in. And he'd forgotten that he had it, because obviously they have guns in America. He'd forgot he had it, and they'd found it on the plane when he arrived. And so that's why it was kept there. And so when he sent me the picture, I'm very fortunate. I know somebody that's very high up in the CID here, and I just gave him a call. I said, look, there's a guy at the airport that's in a little bit of trouble, and could you make a phone call, please? And he's like, well, who is it? I'm like, let me give you his name. I said, let me spell it for you. I said, it's Grant Cardone, Grant. He went, Uncle G. And I was like, yeah, Grant. He went, Uncle G, Grant Cardone, Uncle G. I was like, yeah, he goes, I'm going there myself. Anyway, 20 minutes later, Grant was out, and the guy that he's a big fan of Grant Cardone. So it was fantastic to see, and fantastic to experience.
What's he really like, sort of when the cameras aren't rolling and he lets his hair down? And because I know you've been out for dinner a few times, haven't you, done social stuff with him? What's he like as a person?
He's all you want him to be and more. He's a sales guy. He's cool, you know. He's honest about stuff. We sat there with a wine list at the restaurant, and he didn't know which wine to choose. He was looking at all this wine. What wine do I choose? And I'm like, whatever you want, mate. You know. But he was very kind of humble about stuff, and he lives his truth. He really lives his truth. He's not fake at all. There's nothing about him. You know, he loves the haters. The haters are the biggest motivator that he has. Like it literally feeds him. Okay, and just like that, he loves it. And he made a video. Did you see the video that he made yesterday? Did you see the one that he did?
No.
So he made a video yesterday saying, look, guys, okay, the news is true. What you've heard from online is true. I've gone bankrupt. The plane's for sale. You can get it probably for 20 cents on the dollar. You know, there's my condo's for sale. You probably get that cheaply right now. Blah, 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 blah. And literally loads of people are messaging me going, wow, Grant's gone bankrupt. And I'm like, no, he ain't.
Raising his profile, raising his name.
He ain't got bankrupt at all. And then obviously then the video came out last night, and it was a video, you idiots. It's hard to get attention right now. It's really hard to get attention.
People searching his name. Yeah.
Lots of really hard. You're only going to get attention if you've gone bankrupt, you've killed yourself. These are the reasons you're going to get attention right now. There's so much noise out there, and you fell for it. I can't believe that. Some of you know me. Some of you have been to my office, and you know me, and you still fell for it.
Brilliant. I love this. Obviously, we know you're blue sky, you know, thinking, and, you know, HR, safe hands, and, you know, the Make It Happen University and where you've got to is awesome. Where did it all start for you? What was the turning point that got you actually into this entrepreneurial state of mind and climbing the ladder? Where did it all begin for you?
Not by choice. I was fired. So it's not by choice. I had a 16-year run working for a company that I'd helped build from scratch. I was, I think, well thought of and successful within that organization. I've made a load of money, and I fitted there. I believe that I fit there. And even since that I've left, there's people that said that I should still be there. And I think that being an entrepreneur doesn't sit very well with me. I don't actually like being some boss, some figurehead, some place like that. I actually like to be part of a team. And regardless of my position in the team, I like to be part of a team. And in all the years, I've always been part of a team, you know. And anytime I've ever worked in an environment where the team's very small, I felt less comfortable than when the team is big. So I did that for a long time, and I enjoyed it. I was an idiot. I got a bit arrogant, got a bit cocky, made a few bad decisions, and that's because when you were as successful as I'd become, and there was no competition left, it was almost like there was nothing to aim for anymore. You know, every year you won, and no matter what you did, you know, when I was actually selling, I had competition. And so up until the time I moved to Dubai, I was literally selling every day. And so I had massive competition, you know, and whoever it was, there was competition. And there's nothing better than being behind and overtaking someone and accelerating past them. That was, you know, I fed off that. Then that came to Dubai, and we built Dubai, and in Dubai, it went really well, like outrageously well. The first year, I remember I moved here, there were 12 people and we got rid of most of them in the first week. There was a couple of people that made it, and by the end of that first year, we'd won the top region in the world, and we'd beaten regions that had 5 times as many people. And that was the end of the first year. And so from then onwards, it was a walk in the park. And so after a number of years, I was getting clearly a bit bored because the challenge wasn't there anymore. And what I should have probably done is left Dubai. I probably should have gone off and done what I'd done previously, which was spend a few years somewhere, build it, and then move on. Because every time I'd built something somewhere, I moved on. I had to start fighting again, and I had to build the next place. And so I should have probably left, but I didn't. Got a bit cocky, got a bit arrogant, made some bad decisions, and I was then, for a number of reasons, set up because somebody wanted to get rid of me, and that was the end of that. And so, what I did, the mistake I made is that I was offered a lot of money not to go to work. So I was paid not to work for a year. And so once being paid not to work for a year, when you first lose your job, being told you're going to be paid for the next 12 months at the money you were earning, it's like your instinct is to say, yeah, okay, I'll take that, because you start worrying about a whole bunch of different other things. And so I did that, and I thought, you know what, because I had to have spinal surgery again, and I was like, I'll have that operation, I'll get better, and I'll go and visit some of those people I haven't seen for years. And my friend had a hotel and a restaurant in Dordogne, and I really wanted to spend a bit of time with him. And I had some friends in Los Angeles and some friends in Brazil and stuff, and I went to see them all, and that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks worth of traveling, and then it was all done. And then I came back to Dubai, and everyone was getting on with their life. And so during the week, everyone was busy, and the weekend, but also all of those people that I thought were my friends weren't actually my friends. That was all a lie. They were my friends because either I was their boss and I thought they were my friends, or they wanted something from me. And when they were told they shouldn't really communicate with me, and when they went off in their own direction, I felt very vulnerable because because work had been everything. I hadn't built out anything outside of my life. I had a few friends from over the years, but not really many. And so my incubator was essentially the business that I was part of. And so for that then to go meant I was alone. And so it got very dark and very deep and very lonely and very sad and very scary and I just felt no purpose. It was like, there was no purpose. And if I'm really honest, I never recovered from that. A lot of people will see my success and whatnot, but I never recovered from it. It was going back to work and then setting up a business in financial services with the Blue Sky Thinking Group and doing stuff with that. That was great, but and the reason I don't run those businesses is because they don't serve me in that way. They don't feed me in that way. And so hence the reason that Danielle, my business partner, who was a 19-year-old kid that came to work for me many, many years ago, is running that organization because it serves her. She has purpose around that, and that's why it's successful. And then by doing that, I'd gone through a very dark period, thought about taking my own life and gone down that journey, then got back on the treadmill again, handed that over to Danielle, and I was then back in that place again going, what do I do? And so it was like, what do I really want to do? Like, what do I really, really want to do? And I'm a sales guy. At the end of the day, that's all I really am. I've got lots of things that have happened, but I'm just a sales guy. And I know you can build businesses with salespeople because salespeople get revenue. And as long as you can make sure you get revenue through the door, you can manage most other things in business. As long as there's money coming in, you can learn about everything else. When there's no money coming in, it doesn't matter how great your business is. So it was a very weird period in my life because then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to try and serve. I'd never heard of e-learning or online universities, but I also knew if I just did coaching, I'd probably get bored pretty quickly because it would be very repetitive because you'll be dealing with the same problems over and over again. And so I built an e-learning platform, Make It Happen University, put into it the whole course. And I was really proud of that when I made it because it was hard. I'd never done videos before. So it was hard, getting it all right and just tough, logistically organizing, putting it together, documenting everything. And so when that was built and it was launched, it was like, yeah, this is the best thing in the whole wide world. Then again, it was another kind of fall because I had an e-learning product and it was like, oh, I need people. If I don't have people, then what have I got? Having a product that you sell online that makes money online. It doesn't serve your soul. It just makes money online. You know, people that have got these Spotify accounts on Amazon, all this kind of stuff, they make money online. It's like, why? You know, and so I was never in need of money. It's not like I was broke and I needed to make a living. And so it was just very empty. And that's when my kind of content journey started. I started making content. But
just to interject with that, what got you into that? Because obviously you were a big driving force behind me doing it. And I'd never comprehended before that you could actually put videos out and put information out online, and people actually approach you because they see you as the industry expert. Now I say it out loud, it makes perfect sense. And it did back then. And for me, it was a massive revelation. Like the penny just dropped instantly when you told me. But what got you into that?
I needed to make a series of adverts for the online university. And the adverts didn't work. And the adverts didn't work because there was no awareness. People didn't know who I was. I mean, obviously in the world that you know, Joe, everyone knows who I am. But in England, no one knows who I am. I've not lived in England since I was 23 years old. So nobody knew, and I was trying to market my services there, and we were spending money on advertising and nobody was buying at one stage. It was like, why doesn't that work then? And they're like, well, no one knows you. You're going to have to create awareness campaigns. You're going to have to start making content that's valuable for people so they can get comfortable. You position yourself as an expert and then you feed your adverts into those people. I was like, oh, right, okay, fine. So then I had to start making some videos and stuff, and I started doing some educational videos and teaching that kind of stuff. And much like you, Joe, when you started, made some mistakes, did some that were good, some that were bad, some that were great. And then got comfortable with that whole process. It didn't represent anything too difficult for me. And also you start to get positive feedback as well. So when you get feedback, it starts to feed your confidence, and you know, your self-esteem grows because people say that's really good, that resonated with me. But a lot of people see me as a social media person, but if I look at my journey and how much time I've spent on social media and the amount of content I've produced, I would say I'm probably a social media failure, not a social media star or success. I look at myself and I think, you know, I've done it. I'm, you know, there's no doubt I know how to make content. Okay, there's no doubt I know how to make content. There's 300 how many videos out there now, and lives and all that kind of stuff. But it's never about the content. It's about how people connect with you. And so, you know, you'll notice Gary Vaynerchuk, everything he does is with a raw. It's kind of like rah type of thing. And a lot of my stuff is with a raw. But you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't actually know my story. But everyone knows that Gary worked in winelibrary.com, and everyone knows that he worked there and he was bagging ice, and then he was working in the shop, and then he took it online, and then he did this. Everyone knows the Gary story around that. Everyone knows Tony's story about when he was broke in that cafe and that little boy came in and da-da-da-da-da-da. Everyone knows that story. Everyone knows Grant Cardone's story as well. I can tell everyone's stories. But no, people don't know my story. And even to this day, I was talking to somebody the other day and she's like, I just watched that video on you where you talk about what happened in your life. I had no idea. And she said, I also had no idea you had kids.
You know, that video was the reason I reached out to you.
Which video? That one?
The one in your living room where you spoke about the hard times that you'd been through.
Yeah.
Again, talking openly and candidly, like I said, when I learned so much from you, like I worked for you when I was 22, I think, when I moved to Abu Dhabi.
When you were slim.
Slim, yeah. And slimmer. And just instantly you blew me away. Just so you are the best sales coach, motivator, motivational speaker that I'd ever heard. And I remember at the time, sort of like yourself and CEO used to bring all these motivational speakers from all over the world. And they were great, don't get me wrong. And we used to go to the Shangri-La on Sheikh Zayed Road, was the favourite venue. We'd bring them in, all the teams, and they'd talk to us for an hour or 2 hours about what they'd done, and they'd tell their story. It was great. Every time I used to come out and I'm like, yeah, but it's not quite as good as Spencer. And we sort of said this between us. But at the same time, I was petrified of you. I was petrified of you as a kid when I was in my early 20s. Like, petrified. Don't get me wrong, you got so much out of me and I learned so much. But And then obviously then when you went into sort of the sales coaching and you started the make happen university, and as you know, a couple of years ago, I went through a bit of a stale patch with work, questioning, do I want to do this anymore? Things weren't going great. Laura were pregnant with the twins as well. And I'm like, I need to pull my head out of my arse and I need to start making money. So I reached and then I'd seen all your videos, but I'd still got that mentality of, nah, I can't be doing with Spencer again. And then I saw that video where you just opened up and you were raw and you're honest and talking about what you've been through. And that, like you said about with Tony Robbins, that you realized you were human. I think you sort of did that to me with that video. It made me realize that you're just like me. You've got two arms, you've got two legs. And you're not this scary figure I thought you were when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah. I'm a bit scary now with my new haircut, though.
Yeah, turn around, show everyone.
It's my Corona haircut.
Corona haircut.
Look at that up there.
It's not bad.
Didn't they call it DA when you were a kid, that?
No, the DA was that when it is the Jack South thing, yeah. I don't know. It's like, I thought I did a really good job until Anna took pictures of it. I did a good job with that one. So I'm looking at the mirror like this. And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, yeah, but what happens is you use the clippers on the short bit around here, and then you're like, because then it sticks out here. So you're like, oh, well, I better do a bit of that. And before you know it, you kind of like inconsistently messed about with that. And then I literally have my head over the sink and I'm doing this with my head. And I'm like, I think I've got everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try it. Brilliant. Okay.
You were saying about obviously the sales game in giving vulnerability, connecting with people, and like you were saying there, Joe, that was the thing that made you connect with Spence, is that him giving you that vulnerability where you're like, okay, he's human. And I don't know, it'd be good to get your thoughts on this, Spence. In this market that we're in right now, everyone's doing the same things. What's the one thing we can differentiate is ourselves, our story. And that's why people connect and purchase and, you know, build relationships with your service. Is that what your viewpoint is with that, giving that vulnerability to connect?
Yeah, I mean, but the trouble back in the day, it was you were having the opportunity to do that one-to-one. Yeah. When you do it one-to-one, it's a conversation. So in a conversation of two people, then you're asking questions and they're asking questions. And so that vulnerability is easier to share. When you're talking one-to-many, as I call it, either stage with 1,000 people there or online where you can have millions of people potentially, it's harder to do that. So you have to be able to be a good storyteller. But it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's all about stories. It really is about stories. And so if you can tell great stories, then people will buy into you as a human being, not as a professional, but as a human being. And then if you can help people understand, because then they have empathy for you. And then if you can help people identify what their problems are and you can be a solution for their problem, because you've been able to tell great stories, because you can essentially build rapport, people then open themselves up to know, like, and trust. And that may not be 100% at the very beginning. It may be a percentage of 100, but that's what typically people do. And you've been sold to yourself. You know, you've bought things yourself. You've met salespeople yourself, and you know the good ones. You know how the good ones work. You know how the great storytellers work because you're compelled to listen. Last night on my podcast last night was one of the best storytellers I've heard. Like one of the best storytellers. How he met. We all felt, that whole audience last night felt they were in the prison with him. And you just and people literally, I can show you the messages. People, you know what? I just wanted to jump through the screen and give him a big hug, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And that guy, man, what a guy! So yeah, storytelling is really important.
Fantastic, awesome.
Well, okay, so when you're not busy building the brand, working, doing these Zoom calls 12 hours a day, what do you do in your downtime?
I like to hike, so I like go hiking and climbing and stuff like that. I find myself, when I'm actually on a trip, whether it's Kili, Everest, Ecuador, whatever it may be that I've gone on, when I go on those types of trips, I only think about what I'm doing there. I don't think about anything else, and it depresses. It causes depression, not as in misery. It depresses. What's the word? Depression. When you stretch out and you take it away, I forgot the word I'm looking for here. Contracts it. It just everything. What's the word? You're a personal trainer.
What you say? Compress?
Decompression. That's it. It decompresses me. Okay, it decompresses me. So my levels of anxiety disappear, and I'm literally just there in that experience for that week or two or whatever it is. And I love that. I like to exercise. I don't like gyms, even though I go to a gym. Well, not with Corona, but even when I go to a gym, I hate gyms. I find gyms the most. There's a lot of people that own gyms that have got a lot to learn about sales. There is no environment more intimidating, uncomfortable on the planet than walking into a gym for the first time, okay, and the feeling that you get when you walk in there. There's a place called Inner Fight in Dubai that's a CrossFit gym, and I joined that CrossFit gym, and I tell you what, it's only a small gym, but that place is losing people, or was losing people, straight after people have paid for their first month. Because it's not a comfortable place to go in. And it's so easy. If a gym has a reception and it has personal trainers in there, anytime a new member comes, everyone should go and greet that new member. Everyone should go and say hi, introduce himself to that guy. Say, hey, look, okay, this is what I do. I'm not really training you myself, but you know what? I'll be over there. If there's anything you need, you just holler, okay? Because we're here to help you guys out, okay? And just make people feel welcome. And gyms don't do that. So going to a gym for the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, you get a bit more comfortable. After a couple of weeks, of course, it's the gym that you go to. But I don't like gyms. I don't like the environment of gyms. And when I go to the gym, I go at 5 a.m. So we're the only people in the gym. But I don't like it. I like to get out, on whether it's on my bike. I've cycled from London to Paris to Geneva and stuff. And that is just phenomenal because I'm doing exercise. I've got stuff to look at. Huh?
What distance was it?
It's 500 kilometers to Paris and another 500 to, or maybe another 400 to Geneva. So it's 7 days cycling, doing 120, 150 kilometers a day. Fabulous, with a group of 20 other people that love the sport too, that love the conversation, love the beer and the wine of an evening, love the food in France, love being at the Tour de France as it comes in July, that kind of stuff. There's I've learned over the years that the fancy restaurants, the fancy cars, the fancy hotels really have very little significance. The things that really matter are the people that you're doing it with and doing stuff that you love. I'm not the kind of person that can sit on a beach. I'm not the kind of person. My wife wanted to go to Mykonos and Ibiza, and we went with my kids. And I hate Mykonos. I hate Mykonos with a passion. I was the least attractive man on the island. But I hate places where you go to beach clubs. I hate places where you go and you sit on a beach, you listen to loud music, you go to a restaurant of an evening. Not for me. Everywhere we went from that place to anywhere from the hotel, there was a taxi, took my wife and the kids, and I hiked. And we got one day, they wanted to go to some famous beach club there, and I hiked. It took me an hour and a half to hike there. I got there, put my swimming shorts on, went in there. I'm like, I hate it in here. I literally stayed for a can of Coke, went back to the changing rooms, put my hiking stuff on my trainers and hiked back again. And they're like, my wife doesn't understand it, but for me, it's horrible. Then we went to Ibiza, not like you would imagine. And I have some very wealthy friends who've got a very beautiful house there and a yacht and everything else. And you know what? It's all very pleasant, but I'm not a guy that food doesn't inspire me. Fancy restaurants don't inspire me. Going out and, hiking on a Friday morning, spending my time, like at the moment, it's horrible. We can walk on the beach. We're not allowed to, but we walk on the beach. And otherwise you're doing some exercise at home, and it's horrible, but I like to be active. I like to be busy, and, I get a lot of joy. I work with kids with learning disabilities. So I work with kids with, children of determination. I get a lot out of that. And my friend Maria, I work with her kids from Bangladesh as well. And I get a huge amount of soul food out of that. But yeah.
I know you do a lot of charity work, don't you?
Well, don't say that. That's the worst thing you can say on a podcast, that is, because I can't win whatever answer I give you.
Oh, he's out there now, so I can't take him back, so we may as well talk about it.
He's had to do a lot of great work for charity. No, don't mention it. Okay, let me tell you. I do some stuff, but my friend Maria does most of the work with the children from Bangladesh. She's taken 600 kids out of the slums and turned them. She was invited by Grant and Elena to go and speak on the 10x Growth Con stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they flew her over there. So when they were here, they heard her story and they flew her there and she spoke in front of everybody and told her story and they raised money for her.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was just talking to Elena about that the other day, and Elena and I both cried at the end of the interview. Elena and I are both in tears because we're talking about Maria. Yeah.
So Spence, you're big. You were talking openly about mental health and things that you've been going through in the past. If you're comfortable speaking about it, what got you out of that position that you're in, and what got you moving forward again, so the listeners can sort of apply that themselves if they're in that situation?
I think there's a kind of a quick fix that people look for, but there's not a quick fix, and I think that we all have challenges. Every one of us has challenges in some way, and there's different things that serve to solve the problems for different types of people. But for me, it was depression because of a lack of sense of worth. And I don't think, I went through 2012 was like really dark, and that seems like a long time ago, but I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I just don't think I've fully got out the other side of it. And I just live with the life that I live. And by focusing on others, I have to focus less on myself. And so, yeah, there's been challenging times. I mean, to make someone that most people would think had everything want to kill themselves is nuts. But you see that though. You see famous people that, and sports stars, and, was the manager Chris Coleman of Wales, or whether you see movie stars and stuff. Recent times we've seen people taking their own life. That Caroline, taking her own life. When you see that kind of stuff, I know exactly where her head was. Okay, because I know because I've been there. And so her head was in the shame, okay, of her perception of the truth coming out. And she probably did blow a gasket. They probably did have an argument, and something did happen there where I've been in relationships where people have thrown things at me, and she's blown a gasket, and I'm sure it was done in a moment of anger, which 1,000 people have done. Maybe she threw a glass, a vase or whatever at him, but the goading that might have happened to cause that, we don't know about. All we know about is the last bit. But she was ashamed, and she thought she'd completely sold herself on the fact that was going to ruin her life. She'd sold herself on the fact that situation, when court happened, when she was in court, it was gonna destroy her, and she'd already felt that it was destroyed, that it was damaged beyond compare. But going to court was going to put everything out in the open, and then you don't read the positive comments in the way you read the negative comments. I mean, I've had people hate on me. The amount of lies that have been fabricated online about me on various sites, Pissed Consumer and other stuff like that you just can't. When people write those comments, they've got no idea of the damage those comments do. They've got no idea of the impact they have on people. And you read a comment and, you can go, yeah, he's an idiot anyway. But it doesn't go. And so you literally have to take it and turn it. And it took me a long time. Danielle, who's my business partner, she's mortified. Should anything negative be written about her, she's mortified. And I'm like, there's 7 billion people, 8 billion people on the planet. If 10 people write something negative about you, it's really insignificant. But I've learned how to handle it. And Caroline won't have learned how to handle it. And I didn't know how to handle it all those years ago. It used to hurt. It used to literally hurt, and it would stay with me. And still to this day, I wonder why those people wrote what they wrote. I wonder what possessed them to write something that would be set in stone forever and not removed. I wondered why people felt that strongly, that they felt so little of the impact it would have on others, that they felt comfortable doing it. And you even see it to this very day. But all those years ago, when someone wrote something online, it carried massive weight compared to today. Back then, it was true. Now, it's trolls. That word didn't exist back then. So nowadays, when someone writes something shit about Joe, it's like, well, people are trolling. What do you expect? There's people out there, and you can brush it off, and any intelligent person will brush it off too. But back then, it must be true. So Caroline would have believed her career was over, like I did. And so I can completely understand it.
For you personally, it wasn't you being attached to the insult back then. It was more so you thought of the consequences of what that was going to do to you, your brand, your business, by people sort of putting it out.
No, for me, it didn't impact in it. It hurt. It wasn't to the point. The reason that I got into a very dark place is that I had no sense of worth. I'd convinced myself that my kids had a decent stepfather. They had their mum. There was enough money for the rest of their lives, and I wasn't of any value. And I'm pretty sure if I didn't have kids, I'm pretty sure that I would have taken my own life. I'm pretty confident about that. It was the psychiatrist, when my dad found out, and I don't know how he did, it was the psychiatrist that got me thinking about my kids, because he made me understand the impact it would have on my kids for their dad to take their life, the actual lifelong impact it would have on them and potentially their children. And so it was positioned as something that was incredibly selfish, and that you do have purpose. It's your purpose. If you can't see it, it's in front of you. It's two little girls. And so, and it was him managing to get me to think about that stopped me doing the really ridiculous thing.
Was that the moment? Was that the moment that sort of, said, that's it, I've got to level up here. I've got to find a way to move through this and come out the other side?
Yeah, I honestly, I think like that sometimes as well. I don't think it's that kind of, you don't have a moment. I don't think it's like a realization. You go, right, enough. I don't think with depression you have that. I think it just sits in your brain for a little while, and you start thinking, okay, maybe not. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. And then you just think about it a bit more, and you spend a lot of time, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's probably not the best thing to do. And what will happen for a lot of us is something positive will happen. Nothing big, just a little positive. Someone will call you that you've not spoken to for a long time, and call you and just say, hey, I just thought I'd catch up with you. I've not seen you for ages. How you doing? Yeah. And it will just lift you. Or someone will tell you they love you, or you spend a bit more time with your children. And for me, it was I spent a bit more time with my kids, and by spending a bit more time with them, when you're actually with them, you're in the mode of purpose. When you're actually with them and you're doing stuff with them, you don't think about anything else because you've got to deal with that. And so that helped me heal a little bit. But it took me a long time. And there was one episode where I didn't go to bed to sleep. I went to bed, but I didn't go to sleep for 3 days. 3 days and 3 nights I didn't go to sleep. Not at all. Not even a wink of sleep. As tired as I was going to the gym twice a day to tire myself out. And for 3 days solid, I didn't even. I would be walking around my bedroom, okay, and around, because I didn't want to make the maid up downstairs. I'd be walking around the bedroom of an evening, all night, just walking round and round, sit down, stand up, stand down, sit up, okay, and go through the whole night, 3 days and 3 nights. And although I felt tired, I felt like I needed to sleep. The moment I'd lay down, I was wide awake. Like wide awake to go to the gym, wide awake. Not wide awake as in my body's tired, okay, but my mind's spinning. I can't. It was like I was on 100%.
And how long did this go on for then?
That not sleeping was 3 days and 3 nights solid of not sleeping.
So being this low, I mean, was that so? It was,
low was from February 2012 until probably, in terms of the lowest, 2012 to probably December 2012 or Jan. Yeah, so February 2012 to December 2012 was probably lowest. And if you compare that to now, way lower than now, but now way lower than before. So from my peaks, I'm not anywhere near where I once was. A great guy, a great story to listen to is Gary Barlow, because Gary Barlow's story mimics mine, or I mimic it, whatever way you want to say it, because Gary Barlow was really successful, and he was successful for a period of time, and it was never going to end. he thought he was invincible. Not only was he invincible, but he was the guy that was writing all the songs for the band.
Yeah.
And so he's in one of the most successful pop bands in the world. They're traveling all over the world. They're making shitloads of money. He's the guy that writes all the songs. Okay. Every time they're not touring, they're like, Gary, get in the studio and write some songs. He loves writing songs, so that was easy for him. And then when it all came to a stop, he was delusional. Not delusional for wrong reasons, but he was delusional because what he found out, his thought process was wrong. And his thought process was, okay, the band splits up, no drama. I'm the guy that writes the songs anyway. And so I'll just make my own songs, I'll just carry on writing songs and I'll sing solo myself. I'll sing most of After songs anyway. But then nobody wanted it, did they? Nobody wanted him. Nobody liked him. It was like, nah, we like Take That. We don't like you.
Yeah.
So then he went into a dark place because he couldn't see any reason. He couldn't see any purpose. And then in that dark place, guess what? Then he couldn't write a song. Couldn't write a song for Toffee. While he was in that dark place, because he's a creative person and the creativity had escaped him. And he put loads of weight on because he was eating, and it was his daughter that died. One of his babies died, and that was his turning point. But he tells the story, and his wife is Dawn.
I've seen the documentary that was out a few months ago. Really, really interesting.
Yeah. I think that there's many people like that. And I think that mine was the same. Made loads of money, did really well, had lots of accolade, thought my shit didn't stink and all that kind of stuff. And then it literally stopped. And I still to this day miss that environment. Still to this day miss that environment, because it's an environment where whether you think you belong there or not, I was conditioned in that environment. I was 16 years in that space. So from a young professional age all the way through, that I was conditioned. And so it's what you get to know.
Yeah. So,
and if you don't hate your job, when people hate their job in that environment, then they're glad to get away from it. But when you don't hate your job, you don't get away from it, do you?
Yeah. So for anyone going through that or going through something similar to that, what would you advise them to do? If anyone's in that dark place?
The first thing I'd say is whatever you do not stay alone. Talk. Because, you ever been dumped by a girl before? You ever been dumped by a girl, James?
I'm sorry, mate.
You've had loads of times. But when you get dumped by a girl, okay, a relationship ends, you try and find answers. And at first you try and find answers and it's not your fault. So you're looking for answers from another perspective. And so what you want to do is talk about it. So your mum, your sister, your brother, your mates, you talk about people that you think are listening. And by talking about it, okay, enables you to keep processing it and asking questions, but you're able to talk about it. And though it's not great, it feels better than not talking about it, because all you're doing is talking to yourself in your head. You're having your conversation with your alter ego as to why. But when you talk about it a lot, people can help you understand that it might have something to do with you as much as it might be somebody else as well. So I think that talking's really, really important, like really important. If you've got no one to talk to, call the Samaritans, like talk to somebody, explain your problem, because I think that is important. But then on top of that, if you can afford to get professional help, I suggest you go quickly and get professional help, because there are lots of really great people out there that can help you. And depression is a state of mind. Depression is what's going on in your head. It's not a feeling, it's an illness. You're sick when you're depressed. And so your brain can get sick just like any other part of your body can get sick. And depression is your brain being sick. And so, if your liver was sick, you'd go to the doctor. If your heart was sick, you'd go to the cardiologist. But guess what? Your brain is sick. So you need to go to the doctor that can help you mend your brain. And whilst it might be not a case of lots of injections and stitches and, operations, it's got to be healed. And different people will heal in different ways. But there's lots of professionals out there that recognize your brain is sick. And so talk and talk some more. And talk to people that want to listen. Don't talk to people that want to compete. Talk to people that want to listen. Go get professional help. And you know what? If you're in that place and it's really tough and it's really dark, go and follow me on Instagram or something and reach out to me and say, this is how I feel. And I promise you, I'll call you and I'll talk to you, because you've got no one else to talk to. I'll talk to you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Okay. What advice would you give an 18-year-old Spencer Lodge if you could do it all over again?
Whoosh. 18-year-old Spencer Lodge. Okay. A lot of people say Grant Cardone says you don't need to do what you love. I say, shut up. You do need to do what you love. You're going to be doing a long time of doing it. So if you do what you don't love, I worked in a factory for a month when I was a kid in my summer holidays, and it was a plastic injection molding place. And in the factory, we made plant pots. And my job was to take the plant pots out the bottom of the hopper and put the plant pots in a box for a month. There ain't no way I'm going to spend my life doing that. And there were blokes that had been there for 10 years in this factory. Yeah. And I'm like, and one of them got promoted from putting stuff in boxes to driving the forklift truck. And it was like, to put the things in boxes that are on the pallets onto other places. It's like, and so you've got to do what you love. And there's no harm. I've got 2 kids. One of them knows exactly what they wants to be. The other one has no idea. And that's great. Because you shouldn't have to have an idea. At 18, you shouldn't have to know what to do. All right, 18 years old, go and try different things. Go and work at different jobs. Go and learn, and don't think that life is all about sitting online and solving those problems. But if you want to be a millionaire gamer, there's millionaire gamers out there. If you want to be a millionaire YouTuber, there are millionaires. But do not think for 1 minute any of this is going to be easy. If you want to be really successful, you have to work your ass off. And I probably would say, if you don't know what you want to be, go and try different things, but work your ass off in everything that you're trying while you're there until you find something else. And literally, okay, remember that you're in control of the outcome of your life. 75% of people on this planet live paycheck to paycheck. Don't be one of them. Be one of the 4 that don't. And then if you want to be in the top 1%, then you're going to have to behave like the people in the top 1%. So as 18 years old, do not stop smiling. Do not stop having fun. Don't take drugs. Don't get drunk all the time. Okay, but go and find a place where you feel that you can fit and you can shine.
Love it. Thanks, Spence. Where can people find you? Where can the listeners go and find you? Social media platforms? Where can they hear more about you?
On the beach in Dubai.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
I turned mine around, but I mean, as I said, South Yorkshire sounds a little bit better than Rotherham, but yeah.
I'm on Spencer.Lodge on Instagram. I'm on SpencerLodge.tv online. I'm Spencer Lodge Official on Facebook. You'll find if you type in Spencer Lodge onto Google, or Make It Happen, Spencer Lodge Make It Happen, you'll find me there. There's a YouTube channel, Spencer Lodge, that has got 300 odd videos on. Go and have a look at them if you like what I do. And if I can help anybody with anything in any way, no matter how, no matter what, no matter where, reach out. I'll try and help you,
Okay.
Spence, it's been great having you on. Really good to hear your story. It's very inspiring as well. Nice one.
You're a good man, James. You're a good man indeed for taking on Joe, so well done. All right, take care. Have a great afternoon.
You too, mate. All the best.